from the University of Washington. Tonight I'm going to tell you about how to be disruptive and change the world in the process. I'm going to explain a project called Hackademia that I run at UW, and that's designed to inspire students to be disruptive and also to contribute to innovation. So everyone likes to talk about innovation, think about where it comes from, and there are lots of traditional places where we identify it coming from, like universities and industry labs. But then there's also kind of independent researchers who linger out there on the side, people like hackers and makers, DIYers, people like you, students, and they work in the world where imagination is more valuable than knowledge. And that's what the perspective that I'm trying to harness in the Hackademia project. So over the years, students have taught me a lot of things. Some of the things they've taught me have to do with the importance of being a newbie and how that lets you ask different kinds of questions and solve problems in new ways. And that's really made me want to find ways to incubate innovation that draws from non-experts. Because it turns out that expertise, like the kind that people like me have, doesn't always contribute to innovation. Innovation comes from audacious changes and disruptive technologies. And what I mean by disruptive technology, and this comes from academic literature, so just don't fall asleep yet, bear with me a little bit. But basically, there are these things called disruptive technologies, and they share a bunch of characteristics. They tend to be less expensive than existing technology. They have less functionality than things that are already on the market. And they address users who are totally different in terms of, there's a very famous Henry Ford quote that you might know. If I'd asked my users what they wanted, they would have said a faster horse. So disruptive technologies, it turns out, in those traditional places like industry labs and academia, there are actual disincentives to create disruptive technologies. So it falls to those independent researchers out on the side to come up with the stuff that's going to change the world. I'm going to give you 2 examples. The first is from an auto mechanic named Adon in Argentina. So he was watching YouTube with his friends one afternoon, and he saw this video about how you get a cork out of a wine bottle. So you put a plastic bag in there, surround the cork, blow some air, and then you can yank the cork out. You can try it tonight at home. So this guy saw this, and I don't know why, but he said, you can get a baby out the same way. And this is the Adon device. And it's like a plunger, and you put a plastic bag over a baby's head, blow some air in, and you can yank it out. But this is amazing because most women around the world, they give birth at home. And if you have obstructed labor given birth at home in the developing world, you and or your baby is going to die. This thing is cheap, it's easy to get to mothers in their homes, and it's going to save lives. All from watching a YouTube video. So this is a low-cost ultrasound project that I've been working with students on for the past couple years. This is a commercial ultrasound machine. It's expensive, and it's incredibly complicated to use. If you use that here in the US, you'd be trained for about 2 years. So we said, we want to get midwives in Uganda to be able to use an ultrasound. They're going to get 2 weeks of training, not 2 years, 2 weeks. So what are you going to do? You're going to design something really simple, and this is what the students did. They approached it as complete non-experts. They said, well, we know we're going to need a simple UI. What kind of information and functionality can we put in? And you know what? Let's do something really amazing. Let's actually ask the midwives what they would want. And then they got really crazy, and they went and they talked to mothers, and they said, what's intimidating about ultrasound? How can we make the technology better? Crazy stuff. What they taught me from this process, approaching it as non-experts, totally reframing the problem space, is they taught me to respect people who are non-experts. And so that's why I started the Hackademia project, which, despite appearances, is not a hatchet job on academia. Rather, what I'm trying to do is take that mindset of hackers and makers, of non-experts, bring it into the academy, and use it as a way to foster innovative approaches, things that non-experts do. So we have some, academic researchy questions that we do. But basically, I throw students into a space, I give them some tools, and I say, go ahead, build something. Learn how to do it. I'm not going to teach you. Figure it out on your own. Maybe someday you're going to build something really cool. And maybe someday you're going to build something that's going to change the world, something like the Adon device. We give them a little bit of background. I mean, you do need some, expertise or some experience in order to use that imagination and that creativity. But basically, and this is a photo that I showed 5 years ago, people all over the world solve their problems in imaginative ways every day. That's why I started Hackademia. That's why I'm starting a company. But my challenge to all of you is think about the things that you care about, that you're really passionate about, things you are clueless about. How can you take that non-expertise and contribute to potentially disruptive technologies that are going to change the world for the better? My name is Beth Kolko. I'm secretly a little bit Luddite. Thank you for your attention.